son. I'm building it for my grandchildren. So you can already see Dubai's vision back then. He wasn't thinking 10 years, 20, 30 years. He was thinking 2 generations ahead. And today, he passed away in the 1990s. Today his son is ruling. And on your drive, do you see any sand to your right or to your left? The whole infrastructure of Dubai has been built out all the way to Jebel Ali. 40 kilometers of infrastructure he has built out, and his son has built out within a span of 30 years. So it's something truly amazing, something truly visionary. So Jebel Ali Port was opened in 1978, and we even had Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of England back then, open the port, so it was very historic. We used to be part of the UK territories over here in Dubai. And this was the first terminal, Terminal 1. Until today, it's our biggest terminal. Everyone's familiar with a container terminal, I'm assuming. Containers, key cranes, berths, everyone's in the industry. Yes? No? Okay, sorry. Okay, apologies. Okay, so let's talk about the operations of a typical container terminal. You have the ships docking at the quay. The quay is spelled Q-U-A-Y. Quay is where the land meets the sea. So you have ships docking over here. You can see them on your left. Then you have the quay cranes, the yellow cranes that you can see over here. The cranes have something called spreaders. They go down onto the container, onto the ship. They lock onto the container, pick up the container, and then put them onto the trucks underneath the cranes. And you can see the operations happening in front of you. Yeah. So, ship docks on the quay. The quay crane picks up the container from the ship and puts it onto the trucks. The trucks will then drive onto the yard. The yard is what you see on your right. The yard is an area where the containers are stored and stacked. And if you see, look to your right, you'll see what's called an RTG, or you can read it RTG 41131. The RTG picks up the container from the trucks and stores it in the yard. So what we do is we play with blocks, like children playing Legos. It's a very simple business, a container business. And it's the opposite when a container needs to go back onto the ship. The RTG picks up the container from the yard, puts it onto the truck comes underneath the crane picks it up and puts it onto the ship. So it's a very simple business. And over here we measure everything in what's called TEUs. TEU stands for 20-foot equivalent unit, which is the standard size of a container. A container comes in 2 sizes, a 20-foot container and a 40-foot container. The reason this has happened is because the world is standardized around this 20-foot and 40-foot. If I can maybe ask questions maybe to the ladies. When you buy shoes, what does your shoes come in? When you buy a pair of shoes, what does it come in?
Boxes.
It comes in a box. But have you thought, why does it come in a box? So if you think about it, number one, you're buying a pair of shoes, so the shoes are together. Similar with containers, everything is in one box. It's put together. It's in one storage device. Number two, the box protects the goods inside. Similarly, you can see steel, aluminium, these boxes protects all the goods inside. Number three, if you go inside the storage area of that shop, storing your shoes, you can see the boxes are stacked one on top of each other. So for storage, as you can see as well in our yard, they're stored one on top of each other. Also, standardization. If you're a size 5 or a size 10 shoes, it all comes in the same size boxes. So it's easy to do all the thing. Everything is standardized. Similarly, all the slots inside the container ships are all standardized to 20 foot and 40 foot. The key cranes picking up the containers, the spreader goes 20 foot, 40 foot. The trucks, 20 foot, 40 foot. The yard, 20 foot, 40 foot. The warehouses, the opening for the warehouses and the shelves, 20 foot and 40 foot. So this is what really has called world trade. World trade has become faster, cheaper, more efficient because of the simple invention of a box. And that's why we like the business so much, the container business, as you see around you. 90% of the world's goods are transported in boxes in terms of volumes. For the people in the business, maybe you'll know this, but for the people who don't know this, let's do a simple calculation. A truck on the road can carry 2 boxes. Yes, like you see around you. The biggest train in the world, double stacked, can carry up to 400 boxes or 400 TEUs, as we see in the system, 400 containers. The biggest plane delivered in the Soviet era can carry about 40 container boxes because of the sheer weight of each box. But what about the ship? What is the biggest ship in the world? How many containers can the biggest ship in the world carry? 5,000, 10,000, keep on going. The biggest ships in the world can carry 25,000 containers. So just look at the difference between the volume in the train, trucks, air, and by far it is the cheapest method to transport containers. So that's why 90% of world trade cargo goes onto container ships. And what comes inside a container? Anything and everything. Whatever you can fit in a box comes. You can put cars, metal rods, TVs. There's refrigerated containers that, excuse me? I was actually thinking, why can't we put people inside containers, put them to sleep, and then, ship them to wherever? It's better than staying on a 13-hour flight. So even food, even these containers are refrigerated. So everything and anything comes in container. And when I say everything and everything, what does that mean? It's a very stable business. The container trade grows with GDP growth of the world. As GDP grows, container trade also grows. Because, so today, take an example. You work in Wall Street, you made a lot of money today, you'll have lobster and caviar for dinner. You lost a lot of money the next day, you'll have pizza. My point is, you're still consuming, and whatever you're consuming, you might buy a 50-inch TV, you might buy a 13-inch TV. Whatever you're consuming, it still comes in a box. A box is standardized, and we charge per box. So bringing things in, furniture, electronics, automotive, metals, commodities, whatever it is, it can come inside a box. And that's why we like the business so much. Okay? So this was part of Terminal 1, what you saw over there. Very simple business. Showcase our facilities. Also, we are going to take you to Terminal 2 and also show you our latest innovation. Okay. So we're going to go back into the free zone at the moment. I want to ask you, what do you think is the capacity utilization of our ports? Do you see any traffic? Do you see a lot of traffic? Really? Really? Inside where the... Okay. Right now we are outside the terminal, so now you'll see some traffic. But inside the terminal, you guys come from Singapore, from the megaport as well. We are at that 75% capacity utilization, but the thing, you won't see traffic over there because everybody and anybody who is in there has to be there. You're given a token, you're told, go under the screen, pick up this box, go to this yard. take it off. Everything is done within 40 minutes and you go out. You don't stay over there. You don't see people walking around you. It's a sensitive area. We don't want people. It's a very dangerous area. Everything is done through CCTVs. Everything is done remotely. You have operations. These cranes are operated in offices, inside an operation building. It's all through remote controls. Everything is automated. Anytime you see a hub terminal, everything is automated. We are actually going to Terminal 2 and we'll show you our latest technology which we released during Expo 2020 in Dubai. So we're the first in the world to do that. It might not be as, how can I say, very sexy for consumers, but in terms of logistics, definitely something that's world-changing. Okay. In terms of our facilities in Jebel Ali, we are the biggest ports between Rotterdam in Europe and Singapore in Asia. Singapore, to give you some perspective, has a capacity of approximately 40 million TEUs, 40 million containers capacity. Over here in Jebel Ali, we do 20 million. Okay? But for the region, we are 4 times bigger than any of the our closest rivals in the region. The closest rivals are 5 million TEUs. So, the United Arab Emirates, with a population size of 10 million people, why does it have the 12th largest port in the world situated over here, and the 3rd largest port outside of Asia, outside of China basically? Why do we have the size of Jebel Ali over here? For that, we need to understand how world trade happens, the container trade. What happens is the container trade. You have the biggest ships in the world going out of manufacturing in China. Everything is manufactured in China today. The biggest ships in the world will take out the containers and then go to a few hub locations on the way to Europe. So where we service over here is Asia-Europe trade. Everyone's flown in airlines, so the A380s, the mega planes, same thing, they do the hub and spoke model. So the mega ships coming out of China go to a few locations, stop at a few locations, and end up in Europe. Those few locations are Singapore, Malaysia, Jebel Ali, and then they go to Europe. The reason is because of the facilities. You need the depth of the water, you need the height of the cranes, you need the facilities to all service these ships. These are not available all around the world. You don't find places like this all around the world with these facilities. We can handle all of that in Jebel Ali. Also, being these huge ships, you use the hub and spoke model, where you need to bring in your majority of your containers, you come to that port, and then it goes on to feeder ships, onto smaller ships to your final location. That's what we do here in Jebel Ali. Half of the containers coming on the ships into the Jebel Ali port are meant for the Jebel Ali free zone. We have 10,000.
How's the bus seats? I'd say bus seats are basic.
And what do those 10,000 companies do? These 10,000 companies are all regional companies. These are global Fortune 500 companies situated
Good morning,
over here.
Pips Apprentice.
They don't
Hail
service
in
Dubai.
Jamil.
They do not service the United Arab Emirates. They do not service the GCC. They service a population size of 2 billion people. I'm talking about the Gulf countries, West India, East Africa, and the MENA region. A population size of 2 billion people is being serviced out of Jebel Ali port and the Jebel Ali free zone. The global Fortune 500 companies, they're telling the shipping lines, bring my goods over here, I'll repackage it, refix it, and then send it off to its final location in, say, Basra, Iraq, or let's say Cochin in India. all of that things are done over here in the Jebel Ali free zone. The big ships come out of China. It will end up inside Jebel Ali port, and from here it will then go on to smaller ships into what's.
Don't know if you guys can hear me, but this is an exclusive tour
Why is
of
Dubai the base
the
for
Jebel
all
Ali
these global
port.
Fortune 500 companies? You will see it just by walking around. The infrastructure, the connectivity, the rules and regulations, the government, even things as simple as bringing in labor. If you see, we have education, schooling for children. We have the malls for people to enjoy. We have the beaches, we have the hotels. Living in Dubai is very easy. And like my colleague was saying, everything is done online today. So the ease of doing business over here in Dubai, the ease of getting imports, exports, the banks, the trade finance, and the tax authorities all in one area, all on one system. That's what's helping Dubai prosper. Okay. We are going into Terminal 2. Again, DP World Jebel Ali has 4 terminals. We'll just look at 2 terminals today because the rest are, it will take another half an hour to reach them. So this white container you can see with Maersk, you can see it has some, it's a reefer container that's used to move food. So these are refrigerated containers. Gases, food, everything can be shipped inside the container. These, we have plugs where it's plugged into our system and it continues to be refrigerated. And on top of that, cold chain. And over here, what we have in Jebel Ali as well is we have a food hub. A lot of food coming from abroad is tested for hygiene, etc. over here, and then sent to its final location with the certificate. We have cool warehouses, cold warehouses, all cold storage facilities over here. So these are entire facilities refrigerated to the temperature that you need. Terminal 2, because of the capacity and because we are a hub terminal over here in Jebel Ali, it's